മനസായട്ടുലോർത്തുനേ 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 నా మనవిని చేకున్నవే మనసాయటులోర్తునే నా మనవిని చేకున్నవే మనసాయటులోర్తునే. In this beautiful composition, Sri Tyagaraja Swami exhorts his mind. He says, "O mind, listen to me. You can redeem yourself by singing the glory of Sri Rama." It is said that Sri Tyagaraja Swami has attained salvation through Nadopasana or meditation through music. That is the power of music. Music has the power to motivate us. It has the power to excite us. It has the power to make us happy, make us relax, or even give goosebumps. Today, let us try to understand how our mind, how our brain, the sound system between our ears process music. Okay, first things first. How do we hear music? Of course, through the ears. But how? To understand this, we need to deal with a little science. Just imagine that music is produced here. You must understand that music or sound is just a vibration in the air. It's just a disturbance in the air, an organized disturbance actually. So when this vibration reaches our ear, it first reaches the outer ear and then it reaches the inner ear. In the inner ear, there is a shell-like structure called cochlea. This cochlea consists of tiny hair-like cells, about 20 to 30,000 in number. Now each of these hair-like cells will respond to only one particular sound frequency. Something like in a keyboard where each key corresponds to one sound frequency. So these hair-like cells will send signal to the brain. Hey brain, a frequency of 220 Hz is coming up. Like that, through the audio nerve or the cochlear nerve. Thus, the sound reaches the brain. Inside the brain, it's the occipital lobe in our brain that actually produces the images. When we close our eyes, listen to music, it brings us to the ocean or a mountain. Our frontal lobe is analyzing the music and giving us the information, the data that tells us what this piece of music is, who might be playing it, maybe what is the lyric in it. And then, when we engage in performing music, it's the parietal lobe that senses our hands on the string or the instrument or our vocal cords. Of course, there is the temporal lobe, which is where we process sound, the pitch, the melody, all these things. But beneath this is the limbic system, and that's the seat of our emotion, our memories, and the automatic reactions that we have that help us to breathe and to pace our heart. It's these functions that occur in a very primitive part of our brain, and they get activated if we listen to or sing or play a piece of music. Now this is the gist of how our brain processes music. Let's get to the part of how it responds to music. When music stimulates our brain, the brain responds by releasing hormones. It releases hormones like dopamine, the feel-good hormone, oxytocin, the hormone associated with happy feelings, positivity and bonding. Then there is endorphins released, which helps to reduce our stress and relax ourselves. Research has found that the pleasure centers, the reward centers of the brain are activated when we engage in music, whether it is listening, singing, playing, composing, or even talking about it. When we listen to music, the autonomic nervous system is regulating our internal organs and helping us to survive. The parasympathetic nervous system is a part of this autonomic nervous system that deeply relaxes us. It allows us to recover and recuperate. It allows us to rest On one hand, our parasympathetic nervous system relaxing us, and on the other, there is the sympathetic nervous system. That's the part that deals with flight and fight response. That is, it takes care of the stressful and frightening situations. The sympathetic nervous system's activity is also improved because of music. Now you know why we feel good, happy, and relaxed when we sing or listen to music. But you know, we will feel even better when we sing in a group or in a band, because all these responses are even higher when we do it together. One investigation found that salivary immunoglobulin SIGA was enhanced while singing in a group. Now, this immunoglobulin is a measure of our immune function. So, it actually tests how resistant we are to bacteria and viruses. So, apart from making us relax, can music and singing make us healthy? Well, here is some evidence that it might just do that. You know, sometimes we undergo pains. It can be both physical or mental. When we engage in music, these pain signals are not as strong, because meanwhile the brain will be processing music and it will be responding to the music. There's so much of activity going on and it will be releasing all these happy hormones and relaxing ourselves, and it will be inhibiting these pain signals. So music can even diffuse pain. These are but some of the scientific discoveries of how our body responds to music. The discoveries are still going on. But with these little discoveries, music, it's being used as a form of therapy. When I talk about music therapy, let's just quickly see what India's rich musical heritage has to offer in this field. Nada Yogam and Raga Chikitsam form the backbone of ancient Indian music therapy. In musical sound or nadam, the na also refers to the prana or life, and the refers to the fire. Nada also means the fire of life. Law of vibration states that everything in this universe constantly vibrates, which is in consonance with the philosophy of Nada Yoga. What is the philosophy of Nada Yoga? Nada Yoga states that the universe has taken its origin from a sound projection. The primordial sound Om is the original vibration of the universe. From this vibration, all other vibrations are able to manifest. Nada yogic exercises address the chakras or energy centers of the human body by means of natural sound vibrations in the breath and also certain frequencies produced by musical instruments. This practice intends to synchronize the chakrasthanas or the location of the chakras with the swarasthanas, location of musical notes. These exercises are proven to help in the purification of energy channels. In other words, they help in Nadi Shuddhi. Regular practice of Nada Yogam increases the alpha rhythm in our body, which helps in our general well-being. It is also proven to reduce stress. Another thing is singing regulates our breath. How? Say I'm singing a song or even a single note. Sa. So when I was singing that sa, I was actually holding my breath, and at the end of the note, I released my breath. So I keep holding and releasing my breath constantly when I am singing. So in turn, it regulates my breath. Raga Chikitsa or therapy by musical melodies or ragas is elaborated in the text Gandharva Tattva. It is a literature on the science of music dated back to 4th century BC. What is a raga? Raga is a unique set of selected notes. A given raga can have a rasa or an emotive experience. It can impress the listener with that rasa irrespective of the lyric of the song which is set in that raga. One raga can have more than one rasa, and these variations in rasa occur according to the sound frequency of the swaras of the raga and how the notes are placed in that raga, how we emphasize certain swaras in that raga, or how we oscillate, give gamaka to the swaras, or how we place the phrases of the swaras of that raga. All these can vary the rasa of the raga. For example, take the ragam Atana. The phrase is more zeal. It represents more zeal and enthusiasm, or the Veera Rasa, while the raga's other phrase is more meek, submissive, and it represents Karunya Rasa. We see that music can regulate our mood. Ragas can also have certain effects on our mind. For example, take the ragam Neelambari. Can put you to sleep, while the ragam Bhupadam can do the vice versa. It can get you out of the bed. It can wake you up. And then there are the gamakas. Gamakas are delicate oscillation that adorn musical notes. Apart from adding aesthetic value to the music, gamakas also help to regulate our mood according to the place where they are used, the raga where they are used, the swara where they are used, or how they are used. So I'll just quickly give you an example of how gamaka is used. In ancient Tamil Nadu, Oppari was sung during the event of death of a person. This Oppari had gamakas in excess. This Oppari helped to release all the suppressed emotion of the survivors of the deceased. So in this case, gamakas help to release the negative emotion. Music regulates our emotion. It also regulates the anatomy or the parts of the body that attribute to the emotion. I'll tell you an interesting story about how music cured a disease. Once Muthuswami Dikshitar's disciple, Muthuswami Dikshitar is one of the trinities of Carnatic music. Once his disciple was suffering from an incurable stomach ailment. Dikshitar saw him and he gave him the Navagraha Kriti on Guru in the Ragam Athana. And he asked him to sing this every day. Legend has it that this Kriti proved to be a magical cure to his incurable stomach ailment. Apart from the invoking God, Navagraha God in this song, the musical aspect also attributed for the cure. Swami Haridas Giri of the 16th century is a great musician. Contemporary Swami Ganapati Sachidananda are some of the musicians who use music as a cure for illness. Here are some ragas which are used in music therapy. You can pause the video and read them. Of course, other than these, there are many more therapeutic ragas. Singing is a unique exercise where concentration, meditation, cognition, imagination, and breathing exercise, everything takes place simultaneously and unconsciously. There are just so many benefits of music on our mind and body that we can just go on and on. I would say this is just a tip of the iceberg that we just saw. But I hope this small insight was useful for you. Thank you.